the attic. We decided I had a couple things going on this afternoon, so I wasn't going to get to Sioux Falls, and with kind of everything going on, we decided just to do it by Zoom today, and but it'll work out good, I think. How you doing today, Mick?
I'm doing great, Tim. Thanks for asking.
Yeah,
It's been a pretty good day. I worked from home today. We're kind of given that option to try to keep things safe here during the surge. And it's been a while since I've worked from home, and I got to kind of retool. I got to get a little bit better attitude about it than I had that I brought to today's challenges.
Boy, that's, we talked a little bit before we went on, and when you work from home or you work differently, whether, I imagine when you were writing, for the Coyotes and things like that, when you'd be on the road, maybe staying in a hotel, you have to refocus yourself in a different way rather than when we're creatures of habit, so to speak. When we want to go in, we got our day set out, and then all of a sudden it goes crazy. Now, I thrive in that world because that's my world. It's never the same, but I agree with you 100%. If I don't stick to my guns, so to speak, and get there and do what I need to do, whether it's get up and get in the office upstairs or take my computer outside like I did today or something like that, the day can get away from me in a hurry.
Yeah, and tomorrow will be different. Tomorrow will be better, but it was just kind of a challenge today where all of a sudden you're there and you're trying to get some stuff done, and it's just not the external, the environment is not the same, and so you tend to think, well, what do I usually do when I'm sitting in this area? I'm watching the TV, and I didn't turn on the TV or anything like that, but it's a little bit of a challenge, and I think for a ton of people it is, and you could write a whole book about what it's like working from home and how you get used to it and how do you make sure you get productivity out of it. And I don't have to deal with children. And I know a lot of people out there, I've had to deal with children for a lot of this, and that would compound it. So I should just shut up and quit whining about it.
Yeah. One thing we didn't talk about before we came on, it's November now, and obviously beautiful weather. But one thing that I was thinking about today when I was looking at myself in the camera, I got it's No Shave November. Do you partake in that, Mick, or what's your stance on that?
If I participated in that, if there was somebody who just knocked on the door for some reason, and they would see me, and I swear the cops would be here in 10 minutes. It would be a bad look. It would be just somebody lost their mind, or just the idea that why would this person not shave? This person, there's nothing good that's going to happen from this person not shaving. So it would be kind of like that.
Have you gone through spurts in your life where you didn't shave, or you always been a shaver?
I probably made it 5 days, and it's like, no. And a couple of my goofball brothers took a run at it, and we're from, we got the same gene package, and it was like, no, that ain't working, dude. My brother John one time, and it was, if anybody in the family needed a reminder that this is something we should not do, John was there for us. I think when he went to Africa for a while, and he was kind of in a volunteer operation ministry, and he came back and he had that beard going, as I remember it, and I was like, okay, that's kind of cool that we finally see a guy trying a beard, but it's not working for you, pal.
Yeah, I go with the little goatee action, but I always keep it short. So I don't know if I might let, because I shave a lot, and I don't know if No Shave November means I'm not supposed to shave my head then too, or that would be a bad look if I started letting this go, because it would first of all, it would take a while, and it isn't quite as thick as it used to. So, but it's always interesting to see people in a week or so after the 1st of November and see, like you said, some of them it's like, oh, okay, maybe you should participate in this or support it in a different way.
Yeah. Let's find an alternative means of supporting this effort here.
Absolutely.
That's how.
And this Saturday at Dakota Wesleyan, it's Senior Day, and it's not the last home game, but it was scheduled to be their last home game, so they went ahead and had Senior Day there. And Dakota Wesleyan football got a win over Briarcliff, which is always great when your seniors can get that their Senior Day victory. And just a really emotional day for football guys. And Mick, as you covered so many football teams, what do you remember any Senior Day events or the emotion of a Senior Day being different when you're on the sideline covering the Coyotes or a high school team or anything like that?
Well, you see it, I think, especially with, I think it's always hit me if I was familiar with their parents, and particularly with USD, and you saw the level of investment that had been a part of this by the kid and also by the rest of the family. And just seeing, especially with football, I think for the kid, because you're not going to, a few people are going to go on and try to play some football, but otherwise it's over. And so it's basketball. You can at least get your basketball on. You can continue to play basketball and most other sports. But football, that's it. And they're not going to put another. You don't want to tell them this, but they know that they're not going to have another shoulder pads on ever again. I mean, for high school kids, but then for college kids, I think, especially because of the level of commitment that has been into it to that point. And all of a sudden, this thing that's been the most important thing in your life, probably since 8th grade, or one of the most important things, I mean, within reason, all of a sudden that's it. And with football, it's unique that way from other sports in that is it. You're never, if you put on a football helmet, it's going to be part of a Halloween costume. That's it. And or if any of the other equipment with it. And I probably a lot of times they don't think about it like that. They just think, well, okay, but it is. And if you have some perspective on, you can look back on it. It's like, that's a big deal. And the parents, again, probably are more aware of have the sense of proportion for what exactly is going on there. But it's a big deal, especially football.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you nailed it right there. The parents, when before the game, they introduced all the seniors and they'd walk out with their parents and get, talk to, and I greeted them, and the parents were, one, very emotional, but very thankful. And they all, they couldn't stop looking at their sons,
Mm-hmm.
they were all always, whenever somebody was talking to them or their sons, they were looking at their son, and just the pride of that. And like you said, I think
Totally.
the kids kind of go through it, and they know how hard they're working and stuff, but the parents really appreciate all the time, effort, and sacrifice that those kids have, especially in football. It's just a different monster when it comes to the amount of time and effort that those kids put into. So
and you see that you develop the parents develop relationships with other parents because they see them every Saturday, and they make some fantastic friendships there, and certainly the kids with the parents of others, and the kids with each other, and you can keep that part of it as best you can. It's just going to be in a different setting.
Yeah, and then and as we're coming down to the end, again, it's not Dakota Wesleyan's last game. They've got 2 more games left. They got to bye this week and then 2 more games. But, as you come to an end, and I talked with Coach Jake Terry from Elk Point Jefferson last Friday after his team lost on Thursday night. And, we talked about that ending, and like you were talking about for the parents, you try to keep that together. But, as you get down to the end of a season, there's nothing quite like that when you lose your last game of the year and you know you're done. Because once you walk out of that locker room, everything's different. The seniors, they're not coming back in that locker room in the same capacity. The juniors and sophomores, their leadership is, now the freshmen aren't freshmen anymore. It's such an interesting dynamic. And, like you said, even with the parents now, all those relationships will still be, but they're different. And, a lot of life lessons again, as you go through athletics and, to see how, okay, who's going to be here in the long run once we're done here. But, the change is inevitable, and I very interesting.
Yeah, no, it's a crazy deal in the bonds. Just when you compete with your brothers or with your sisters, whoever they are, and how that kind of ratchets up the quality of the friendships. And you can talk about this all day, but if I've run into a former football teammate, and I just played high school football, but it's like 2 minutes and things are back to normal. And I might not have seen this person for 25 years. And that part of it it's such a cool part of it.
Yeah. Well, and one other thing that was obviously getting the win was awesome, and senior day was awesome, but it was pretty cool because one of the seniors proposed to his girlfriend after the game. And it was really cool because the team knew that was happening. So they were kind of lined up, and she kind of got pushed into this crowd of young men, and then he came out and proposed. And the video is awesome because obviously anytime the videos of somebody getting engaged are cool and stuff.
Yeah.
The pure joy in his teammates, some of them probably don't have girlfriends or never had a girlfriend, and but the pure joy of those kids and how excited they were to be part of that moment was really refreshing to me. And some of those things get lost in what athletics is all about. So
yeah, no, absolutely. It's bond based. There's some special bonds there, and you see it, the different ways it manifests itself are they're beautiful.
Absolutely. So Mick, you see I got my Minnesota sweatshirt on. Can we talk a little bit about that game?
Yeah,
watch it.
go ahead.
Were you sitting by yourself? What was going on during the game for you? How did that game play out for you?
I watched the first half with my dad, who's an old Gopher fan, and then he went to bed wisely. He didn't have to watch that second half, and it just seemed to me like the defense. And I'm not saying anything you wouldn't understand after 5 minutes, but it was very difficult for them to stop anything. And the idea that they went into that game a 20-point favorite, my goodness, it means that there has to be they have to figure things out here. And they had some people who were injured that they probably could have used. People are injured or sick. And that was perhaps part of it, but definitely a little, what they call in the stock market, a correction going on right now with that team, with them not with this, all of a sudden, this momentum that they had last year. And I enjoyed watching Gopher football like I never have last year. And that bowl game win was really cool to watch, and kind of nostalgic that all of a sudden I'm back into watching the Gopher football. And now they're going to struggle for a while here. And I don't think, PJ Fleck parts of the way he does things seem to bother me a little bit, but you look at the direction of the program overall, and he's done a great job. But he's definitely got to work for his money this year.
Yeah. And I think, like you said, love, hate, indifferent on PJ Fleck, whatever you are. But, when you talk about COVID, it's affected that team, and it's affected it in probably a bigger way than we know, but all teams go through it. But I think for a team that's on the rise like that, and all of a sudden, you're used to having all your guys, and then when you got that doubt in your mind because you haven't sustained it. You're not Ohio State. You haven't been in the top 10 for the last 20 years like Ohio State. Okay. Not saying you can't beat Ohio State, and you're not almost as talented and things like that, but you have that doubt. And then all of a sudden, whether it's 1, 2, 3, 4 guys that you've been practicing with, whether maybe it's your backup or maybe it's a starter, and they're not there, I think that creeps in sometimes. And, I think we've seen the ups and downs of Gopher football throughout history. And, it's hard. Like you said, it was fun to watch last year, and now this year it's tough.
Well, and you see, it's easy to say, well, everybody has to do this, and everybody had lack of preparation by what a normal season would include. But I think some of those teams are more affected than others based on the personnel that they need to get up to speed. And but we know one thing, that it's not working for the Minnesota Gophers right now. That's for sure. I mean, it was an entertaining game if you didn't think that they were supposed to win this by 20 points. But other than that, it was, man, it was grim. And when you think about their expectations going into the year, that's definitely going to be a challenge for that team.
Yeah, if that would have been Maryland and Nebraska, Maryland and Wisconsin, I would have enjoyed the game throughout, But I was texting my buddies. I sent a text, a picture. We're down 21-0 or 21-7, whatever it was, right away. I said, "Oh, great start." And then it's 28-21 or whatever it was. And I'm like, I spoke too soon. Then I said another one at the end of the game. I'm like, I cannot believe this. So, like I said, if it wouldn't have been somebody that you root for, it was a very entertaining game. And it was an entertaining game. It just didn't turn out the way a Gopher fan would want it to.
Yeah, and it's definitely, and you don't know early season, especially a year like this, because you look at Michigan and Michigan State, and this is after Michigan rolled the Gophers, and all of a sudden they can't beat Michigan State. And you were thinking that, well, they're gonna roll, they're gonna beat Michigan State bad here, and so maybe Michigan's not that good, and then you look back 2 games and you see that, whoa, the Gophers got beat up pretty bad by the Wolverines there. So maybe we're looking at something here where 2 weeks from now, we're going to look at the Big Ten a lot different than we do this minute.
Absolutely. And then, obviously came down to overtime, and, the Gophers score, and they need the extra point and they don't get it. Tough deal for the young man.
Yeah. Brock Walker, I've dealt with him, Sioux Falls athlete, coolest kid in the world. I mean, just a real impressive fella. And I felt bad. My goodness, he made 6 extra points and a field goal up to that point, I think, on that. So I don't know how you can hang this one on the kicker. And it's just an unfortunate part of sports, and you got to deal with it. And he wanted to make it, obviously. He knows that this is a conspicuous failure to a certain degree, but he didn't. And it's cliche to kind of give kickers a break and say, well, this isn't, he didn't lose this game. We could have done this different. But in this case, that is really true. There are a bunch of things they could have done a little bit better here, and that wouldn't have been a problem. And plus, he had done a great job up to that point in the game.
Yeah. And, you mentioned he's a Sioux Falls kid. Let's touch base really quick on high school football. They're in the Final Four, for each class, the 7 classes out there. I don't know if you had a chance to watch any games or if you've been able to follow much high school football, but if you have any thoughts on, any, AAA or anything like that?
Well, I haven't had a chance to see a game yet. I guess yet. Season's almost over now, but I'm glad they got to this point without, and there were casualties along the way and teams that couldn't play, and it's kind of a minefield with COVID. But they got to this point. They've kind of limped along and been able to get to this point. So I'm glad that the kids have had the opportunity to play. The coaches have had the opportunity to coach them, because that, and we've talked about this before, but it means a ton to the kids especially. So I'm just grateful that they've got the opportunity to get to this point. And it's too bad that some teams didn't, but they did it. And I would guess if you were to a lot of people who are close to high school football coaches and administrators, and if you were taking bets in September, would the season get to this point without it completely unraveling because of the virus? There probably would have been even money. There would have been money on both sides of that one. And I think that everybody's pleasantly surprised that it did get to this point.
Yeah, and we hope that we can get to Friday and get those games in, and everybody can play. We had a couple teams that couldn't play last week, like you said. And then again, hopefully that they can continue on and go to the Dome, those winners and things like that. What sticks out in my mind, a couple things, in AAA appears to be, Roosevelt's really, really good, and they're going to be really, really good in basketball too. Very athletic, got a lot of big guys up front, and, not to say they're going to win it, but they're good. And, when you think about those kids, and we'll talk about this probably at a later time, but, how interesting for them to be going through not only COVID, but knowing that a lot of their guys aren't going to be there next year, because of the new school going on. So, just an interesting, time at Roosevelt. So I'm sure they're embracing this year. And, again, whatever happens when the season's done, it'll be different for sure for them. But I can't imagine, again, a lot of different things going through some of those kids' minds.
Yeah. I remember when Roosevelt was the new school. I think that was like early 90s. I don't know the exact year when Roosevelt came into being, but there was a couple of tough years there. And it was just the situation made it so that, and some kids kind of had the option and where they were going to go to school, and it just made for an uneasy situation for a couple of years. And then it settled down, and it will again. It'll settle down, but it will take a couple of years for people to who I've identified with one school all of a sudden to be playing for another school, and it's a rival school. It's not just like they moved to Kansas or something.
Yeah,
it's just they're going to be looking across the line at their former teammates and friends.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting for sure. And again, nothing but the best to those kids that have to go or want to go, or I don't know all the logistics of it, or heard different things, but I don't know the concrete answer on who's going and who can go and who wants to go and all that. But just a tough situation for the kids that stay at Roosevelt and their buddy goes to Jefferson, or the guy that goes to Jefferson and their buddy stays at Roosevelt or Washington or Lincoln or wherever they're pulling people from. So very interesting. But again, the other thing is, what a great opportunity for a lot more kids to have an opportunity to play high school football, high school basketball, and all the other sports next year when Jefferson becomes a full-fledged school.
Yeah, and to extend that a little bit, that's why they've had options to, let's make a 36-minute basketball game. And, I could see the coaches' self-preservation and thinking, well, geez, I don't have enough bench for that. Well, in exchange for that, some kid is getting some time on the floor. And I think that should be a price that you're willing to pay if you're a coach. And I'm not in the business, so it's easy for me to say, but I think that the more people that play in a competitive context, the better. And there are going to be problems with it, but certainly you're going to be able to field the team. If you're not going to field the team, I see it. If you're talking 9B and all of a sudden there's some problems there, but there's not going to be any problems that Jefferson or Roosevelt get enough guys to play next year.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. The other interesting team out there that Viborg Hurley, obviously, won the state championship last year and, undefeated this year, but lose their stud early in the year. I think the first game tore an ACL, and he's a D1.
Yeah.
At different, he could be a football player, baseball player. And I'm going off of, I don't know that I heard that his cousin is now the quarterback, but then he was out, broke his wrist, was out for 2 weeks. So they won a couple games with their third string quarterback. And in 9-man, your third string quarterback, you're getting down there again, just because
yeah.
So that's pretty impressive.
Yeah. There's always great stories this time of year, and you root for good games, and you want, whenever I've covered games and when somebody got hurt that was a difference maker, it's unfortunate, and it's too bad for the kid, but all of a sudden you got a team where you got to, and they'll do whatever they can to help, to compensate for this, but it's unfortunate when you see a team that should get to a certain point can't get there, and it's because of some injuries. And it's part of the game.
Yeah. And like you said earlier, but for this kid, the second string quarterback coming in after Chase gets hurt, he's an opportunity to win a state championship as a quarterback that if Chase doesn't get hurt, I don't know, this kid's probably playing receiver or running back probably on the team. I don't know where he was playing, but, just a different, great opportunity for that kid. And now, there's another kid that, because Chase is not on the field, there's another kid that's playing a lot of minutes and a lot of snaps. So, again, all those things that, obviously we never want to see anybody get hurt or get COVID and get sick and all that stuff, but it opens up that opportunity for other kids to get on the field and to showcase what they can do and things like that. And their parents can see them play. And, that's pretty special too.
Yeah, no, it's like I say, a fun time of year, and, challenge. It's adversity reveals character, and that's a hokey thing, but in these cases, that's going to be part of your trip.
And then I want to talk about a neat story, and Mick, I'm throwing this out at you. I haven't talked to you about it, but my friend Weston Frank, of Weston Frank Live, a very talented musician and singer, guitar player, the mayor of Mount Vernon, just all around, he's got something going on all the time. But it was a very cool thing that happened. He's got a son, I think he's 6 years old, and he posted that they decided to open up Jed's piggy bank because Jed wanted to buy something. So they opened up this piggy bank, and I forget what there was. There was like, $200 and some in there or something like that. And so he took the money out with whatever he needed to spend on what he wanted to buy. And then he told his dad, he goes, I want to give $40 to somebody that needs it.
Mm-hmm.
Not, Weston didn't tell him you should do this. He just said that, there's somebody that's going to need this, and then I'll put the rest away back in my piggy bank. So Weston put that out there, and people started matching Jed's $40 on Facebook, and sending him Venmos and, committing to sending him a check and things like that. And he's up in about 48 hours now. I think he's up to over $6,000 raised.
That is so cool.
This little 6-year-old. And now Weston's done a couple videos of him, and so go to Weston Frank Live or Weston Frank on Facebook and check out Jed. He's a rock star. His dad's a big deal, or thinks he's a big deal, and Jed is definitely the star of that family, and I'd encourage you to check it out. Everybody check it out, and if you're led to, help Jed out, because he's gonna, there's like he just posted a video. There's $6,000 that he gonna make somebody's holiday a lot more special.
Yeah, no, that is the coolest thing ever. Wasn't familiar with the story, but having met Weston a few times, interesting character. Geez, you could talk to Weston all day about any number of things there. But then it wouldn't surprise me if Weston's kid would be capable of something like this. And also, obviously, it says a ton about a community, whether it's not like a geographic type community, but a community nevertheless here. And that many people who are getting behind this deal is great stuff.
Yeah, with everything that's going on in the world and all the negative stuff, that's that's one of those feel good stories. And it's not done yet. There's still money coming in, and the best part is, again, the money's great coming in, but when that little boy gets to whatever he decides to, however, give a check to somebody or go to the store and buy some Christmas presents for somebody, those days are the best. Through Higher Power Sports, we get to do some of that, and it's way better for us, on those days when we get to help people out, than it is for the people that we're actually helping. And that kid is, he's on the right track of what this world needs. Somebody that's going to do things for others in a really good way.
Yeah, it's just really cool that you got a kid that young who's already kind of thinking outside the box, outside himself and even to a degree his family. I mean, he could go buy his dad a collector car. I know he's kind of a collector of cars, maybe, but I mean, I'm joking around here, but that is so cool.
Yeah,
that a kid's got that level of maturity regarding his fellow man.
Yeah, and I should say, Weston's wife Jill and Jed's wife, our mom Jill, is probably the one where he gets the goodness in his heart from.
Okay.
This is a great guy, if any of you know him. And again, Jed, thanks for what you're doing there. Before we wrap up, we talked about it a little bit, and I didn't even know if we are going to talk about it, but really the only thing I want to say about it is there is an election tomorrow. There is an election.
Yeah.
Right, left, middle, wherever you're at, vote yes, vote no, just go out and vote, right?
Yes. Go out and vote, and let's all conspire together to make this safe. And it's unfortunate that it's a priority that anybody even has to think that an election in the United States of America, that safety is going to be an issue here. And maybe it's not. Maybe we've overblown it all, but I sure hope we've overblown it all. And so get out there, vote, and be safe.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, when it's over, also, hey, let's get back to working together and getting this thing, getting the COVID under control, getting our economy back, all those things. That's what we all want, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, and all those other issues, we'll get through those as well, obviously. With that, well, let's leave one last topic. I had Marcia Zephyr on, and I probably shouldn't even bring this up because this might take us a 4-hour conversation. But first of all, what a great lady. And to give her time to come and speak with me, but she, Native American lady that, has been in education, really her whole life, because they're educators, and just talking about, she really talked about education when it came to the social justice issues, the racism issues, that inclusion, all those things. And I know Marcia a little bit, but What an impressive lady.
Yeah, she's a sweetheart and well schooled on insightful, genuinely insightful on ways we should approach this challenge within our state, within the whole world, is trying to figure a few things out with racism and bigotry, and making sure that we can the stuff there are things we can all do. And Marcia would be someone where she would be able to tell you exactly within her community things we can all do, and does that with intelligence and with great amount of insight. I watched that whole thing, fascinating to me, that just seeing things from another side. Well, just a different side, not like an opposing side, but just a perspective that I don't have. And it was fascinating to me. It was good stuff.
Yeah, that was I've done a lot of these Facebook Live shows, and that was one of my favorite. I learned a lot, and I probably sounded stupid asking some of the questions I did, but again, I don't have the perspective that she does, and she was very kind and generous, and it taught me. You can tell she's an educator,
Yeah.
so that was really cool. And so I don't know, Mick, I got some guys coming over. We're moving a play set. So, we could talk for a lot longer, and maybe they would move it for me in my backyard, but I suppose I should go and help them. And, but
well, I'm not coming over. I know that. Yeah. If that's what you're getting at.
And well, when I text them to ask, I said, well, and I'm sure none of their wives watch this, so it's okay for me to say this, but I said, this will only take like 5 minutes. So let's at 6:30, I be done with the show, and we can do it at 6:30. It should only take 5 minutes, but go ahead and tell your wives, take an hour. So, but we're, I'm very fortunate to have a lot of friends in Parkston here that help me out with a lot of things. And, it's always nice when something comes up that have those friends. And, I know you talked about earlier, this week, it's nice out, and maybe getting out to a couple of buddies' patios, or, some garage time, for election night. And those are really special times, and always, but especially with everything that's going on in our world, right?
Yeah. And I mean, I just was writing a story about this with a psychologist, and you got to plan, be creative about what we can do, and be creative about things that we can look forward to versus the traditional things that usually, big Thanksgiving, etc. You got to be a little bit more, you got to be motivated to find creative ways of finding something else to do, and looking forward to things it's a huge thing. I think for all of us, especially this time of year, you usually have these things that you look forward to combat the weather, the darkness, the cold. And we just got to get, we got to figure it out in ways, whatever way we can.
And before we wrap up, I want to thank my brother and his insurance company, Riverview Insurance, his insurance agency, for being a sponsor of this show, Mondays with Mick. I think this is our 4th week in a row
I think so. Yeah.
To do this, and each week has been a little different, and that'll continue. Again, if you have any questions for us, always let us know, or if you have any guest requests, we'll go some weeks like we talked about. We'll go just Mick and I talking, and then other weeks like last week, what a great conversation we had with Paul McDonald. If you didn't see that show, go back and watch that, because what an incredible story. When he talked about his dad and that family, when you look back on that, Mick, is what sticks out on that talk we had?
Well, the one thing that was it was like the most, if you're familiar at all with the Iron Range culture, the most Iron Range thing ever was when he talked about when he was playing at SDSU, and if his folks kind of climbed up to the top of this pile of taconite. They could get WNAX and listen to his ball games. And back in the 70s, before there was internet or anything. And that one just cracked me up. And I've told that part of the story when I went back to Minnesota this weekend. And I said, and I was thinking, you remember the McDonald's? And the basketball fans back there, Minnesota basketball fans kind of know if they had any history at all to them. And then I said, well, then this happened. They had to climb up on this pile of taconite and they could just barely get the radio signal. And it was hilarious. But there was a lot of it there that made him a special guest and somebody that I'd love to just talk to him in real life sometime.
Absolutely. One of the real good guys out there. And then the last thing I want to end with is, today there was a press conference, news conference about the accident that the attorney general was in. And, they came out and they said it was, he was distracted. They didn't say that he was on his phone, but he was distracted. And as you know, and a lot of people out there know, I do a distracted driving talk in memory. Well, it's Andrea's story. And, I posted that, I don't think any of us were shocked to hear he was distracted. And when it comes out, I don't think anybody will be shocked if he was on his phone, because, it doesn't take long if you're driving, to see somebody in their car on their phone, or if you're riding in a car, somebody that will, what I'm in the car, even pick up their phone, and it's dangerous. It's the statistics are out there, and this is something that happens, and it changed. Obviously somebody lost their life, and just like my cousin Andrea lost her life, and it changed families, and families are still hurting and grieving. So I ask you a couple things. One, put your phones down, please, in your car. It can wait. And the other thing is, don't hesitate to, I say this all the time, you won't be disappointed if you have me in to give my distracted driving talk. And that's not because of me. It's because of the story and the presentation. It's not because of me. It's because this story is powerful, and it's Andrea's story. And, I'm just lucky to be able to get out and give it. So if there's anybody out there that has a meeting coming up, or a school, or an athletic team, or a community, anything like that, let me know. And I don't charge anything to come out and give it. It'll be well worth your time to have me in, I believe.
I would agree with you completely on all of that, Tim. And it's always been something that it's such a direct hit. It's such a direct. People have their phones. They drive a lot. If you drive a lot, it's sitting right there all the time, and you get maybe a little bit numb to how fast your car goes, and what a car going 70 miles an hour can do to a human being, or yourself. And I think constant reminder that that's something we should pay attention to is, I don't think we can go wrong there. And I don't think we can remind people enough on it.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, I always say, before Andrea's accident, I was that guy. I was on my phone all the time. And to this day, even though I've done that talk over 350 times, and most of the time, a lot of times when I'm driving to give that talk, if my phone beeps or I get a notification, still my first instinct is to grab my phone. And I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but I can tell myself it can wait, and it can wait. And if it's important, I can pull over and check, the voicemail or the text or whatever it may be. But it can wait, and if I can do it, anybody can do it. So,
absolutely.
We appreciate your time again, and we will see you next Monday. Hopefully things will calm down a little bit and we can be face to face again, or, we always have the divider, trying to keep each other safe and like that. So, but appreciate your time, my man. And obviously this is on Facebook, so they can go back on my page, or we'll share it on your page as well, Mick, and they can watch it there. Or I did start a YouTube channel, so it's on YouTube. So if you know somebody that doesn't, that might enjoy this, or like Paul McDonald's interview last week, and they don't have Facebook, they can go to YouTube and just look it up on Higher Power Sports YouTube channel. And I downloaded that, and I'll continue to download some of these. So any last words?
I don't know. I think we covered a lot this week, Tim. Very good. You did a very good job. I'm proud of you.
Well, here's I we talk before we go on, and then like always, I don't talk about anything that we talked about. Hey, we'll talk about this, but then I just start rambling, and it's amazing how quick you are to keep up a conversation with me. That's I don't give you any heads up. It's like the debate, right? You don't have the you don't have the earpiece or the notes or anything like that. You're just winging it over there. You do a pretty good job.
Thanks. I appreciate that. It means a lot.
All right. So tomorrow, I think I got to look it up. I think at 1:30, I'll be Facebook Live with Ryan Janza. Ryan's won some golf.
He's the only guy I know who can hit a golf ball farther than you can, Tim.
Well, he can hit a golf ball farther than most people. And I appreciate that it's kind of one of those things. I'm not in his category by any means, but hey, that's I'll take it. All right. So tomorrow we'll be with Ryan Janza, and a great story. And like I said, he's won a ton of tournaments. And if you follow him on Facebook, he's got this character out there, super fan, that we'll talk to him about too. So we will talk to you later, Mick. Thanks again for everything.
Take care, man.